G'day footy fans and welcome to Boothy's AFL Dream Team Talk podcast. Today I'm updating my defenders. It's March 15th, 2017 and I've been agonising over this and this is my final scenario for midfielders to choose from for next week's games. Okay, so you need to have 10 midfielders and they need to be priced between $4.1 million and $4.25 million. And you can see some scenarios down below to that end. So the M1s, you've got a choice between 6. Dangerfield at 7.12, who's obviously the best but the most expensive. Treloar at 6.73, who's a good age to improve again on his average from last year. Kennedy from Sydney, who finished the year strongly and playing Ducks and Drakes during the pre-season JLT. I wouldn't worry too much about that. He's a strong option for captain at 6.53. Hanbury not doing much in the JLT, but a very consistent performer at 6.55. Parker, who's had operations but come back beautifully and got well over 100 JLT3 at 6.63, and Neil, who came back and got a massive 38 possessions for Freo at 6.71. Now the beauty of Neil is that he won't be tagged because they've got Nat Fyfe and even Stephen Hill, who's playing really good football. So Neil will probably get off the chain and get a lot of disposals and probably be worth that. The players in yellow, if you're interested, are the ones who got at least one score during JLT of 100 or more, and many of the other guys got in the 90s or 80s, of course, but the ones in yellow got a score of 100 or more, and Aaron Hall got 2 scores of 100. He had a freakish campaign. So the M2s are Tom Mitchell, who's the number one pick out of those lot, I reckon, at 6.38. Jack Stephen, who got 80.5 in one of the games, and the other scores were all 80s, but he looks great at 6.30. Viney from Melbourne, who's going to have a breakout year again, I reckon, because of his age and how many games he's played now. It's 70 games, 611. Joel Selwood had another 100 plus the other day at 6.19. Aaron Hall. Now, Aaron Hall's got a green there because he's got a bye in round 9. So just be aware with Port versus Gold Coast in round 9, as you can see below in the green at the bottom. Only pick one player in your whole team from Port or Gold Coast on your field. It doesn't matter if you have Eddie on the bench in the forward line, because that's where he probably should be, but only have one Port and Gold Coast player in total on your field for your whole team. So if you like Aaron Hall, then make him the one. But in other examples there, you can see some other players I'll get to in a minute. So 6.35, but he's averaging 115 during JLT or something. Gibbs from Carlton, he's there because I wanted to have a Carlton player and he looks solid, couple of 90s, and looks like he could get another great year at 6.36. Now M3's Fyfe, obviously he's got 2 stars next to his name because he's coming off a broken leg and only played 5 games at the start of last year. He's had 2 broken legs in the last 2 or 3 years. That's why he's a risk with 2 stars. My recommendation to you is do not pick more than one player in your midfield who's a high-risk player. In other words, don't have Fyfe, Beams, David Swallow, Murphy. Don't have more than one of those players, I'm afraid. I haven't recommended David Swallow because the bye in round 9, his form hasn't been good enough, in my opinion. But you probably can't have more than one of those players in your midfield. It's a high risk to have 2. So I've given you some scenarios below where there's only one in each team. So Bontempelli came off a little injury but got 80 odd the other day and looked fine. So if he gets through training and plays round 1, he's a good player. Barlow's had a great pre-season with a score of 101 in the 90s, gone up to Gold Coast from Freo. He's in the green because he's got that bye in round 9, but you might pick him instead of Hall if you want to go down that path. Ward from GWS, 5.79, because Canelio's out for round 1, so Ward will get a bit more of the ball. 27-year-old, but still kicks goals and does well. Shuey from West Coast, great player, good age, 5.97. Shield from GWS also, so you either go with Ward or Shield in that position. M4, Matt Crouch from Adelaide, who's prolific and will be the number 1 player there, I would have thought, for possessions, even probably more than Sloane for possessions. Sloane does other things, but Crouch gets a lot of possessions. Kelly from GWS is only going to get better in his 4th season, particularly with Canelio not there, so he's a good bargain at 5.42. Gaff, who's cheaper than Shuey at West Coast and has averaged 100 before, so he's a good age at 5.64. Stephen Hill's in great form in the JLT, looks fantastic. Don't be afraid to get on board him. He might get tagged, but they'll probably go to 5.48. Nunes will get better each year at St Kilda. He's starting to tackle more and look good at 5.35. Prestia, I want to have a Richmond player there. He's the only one in the midfield. I think he's a good age and is a special player, and he could do very well and do better than the average of 5.61. M5's Armitage looks excellent after his bad back last year. Averaged 107 the year before and came back and got well over 100 in JLT3 and then rested for the last quarter. Andrew Swallow from North Melbourne got 26 disposals the other day for North Melbourne. Is probably the number 1 man for disposals there and good price. Beams, fantastic game against Adelaide in round 3. the other day. But as I said, don't put him with Fife and Murphy and other risky players. Crisp got 100 the other day for Collingwood. I like him as a young player. Murphy there, the high-risk player, but priced well. Watson the same. He'll probably rest for round 6 after the Anzac Day 5-day break, but he'll be good for the first 5 rounds. Sexton, who the coach singled out as important in the midfield and was well priced for Gold Coast and did score 75 and a score over 100, but has the bye in round 9. But Sexton's really good value for Gold Coast and would definitely play midfield. Oliver from Melbourne got 31 possessions the other day and is a second-year gun from Melbourne. Atkins from Adelaide starting to get 30 disposals and backfilling for players like Crouch and Thompson, and even Sloan, who wasn't there, and he looks really good and improving. Parrish from Essendon, who's a special second-year player at Essendon. Maston, who has averaged 90 before and is getting up there again, priced well. Dunstan does get injured a little bit, but is a special player in 4th year, played 55 games. Taranto is the best of the first-year players who's likely to play at 248, has scored 90 in the pre-season comp. Very good M7. O'Meara, if you want to go down that path, a bit dearer than Taranto, but is a risk, missing 2 years. Schmetz, good value at Carlton from Geelong, got 89 in JLT 3 and his dual position. And Sheed from West Coast, who will only get better in his 4th or 5th year now. And the M8s, you either go Barrett at 150, Powell Pepper from Port at 216 with the buy in round 9. Taranto there again could be in M8 if you want to go down that path. And I've got Barrett there a couple of times again to give you some examples down below. Now, basically, I've got one midfielder from Port only, one which is Powell Pepper, one midfielder from North Melbourne to choose from, which is obviously going to be Swallow, one from Richmond Prestia, and one, believe it or not, from the Bulldogs, which is, of course, Bontempelli. The other guys are in the forward line or the defence, or the rucks, of course. And your M9 and 10, you have to choose between Hibbert from North Melbourne if he plays round 1, Wigg if he's in round 1 for Adelaide, who will average 20 possessions, hopefully, Miles from Hawthorn, who may play round 1 on the back of Hodge being out, but may not, because it'll be touch and go, and Pickett from Carlton, who will play round 1 as a small forward, but he won't get a huge score. But those guys should only be on your bench. The only 150 player on your field really should be Barrett, maybe Wigg for Adelaide if he's definitely in the team. But again, that's what I think and that's what I advise. Some players down in the right-hand corner there who I haven't selected in this updated version of midfields, either due to their pre-season form or injuries from last year, or just couldn't fit him in. And Rockcliffe is not there anymore because with Zorko and Beams both doing really well for Brisbane, with a massive price tag for Rockcliffe, with the fact that he missed 5 games last year, I just don't think he's worth the money. And as I said, with Beams and Zorko captain now and Beams coming back looking brilliant, I just wonder whether Rockcliffe's worth the money he costs because he's up around that 700,000 like Dangerfield. Is he worth it? I don't know. Good luck, guys. The buys are down below. Make sure you think about that. Have fun. Please subscribe, like, or share. Bye for now.